Good afternoon, everybody. It is Odie and Stacy from TripWire, Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern, October 30th. We have a fantastic show set up for us this evening. Stacy, why don't you introduce our guests and let's get this thing kicking?
Well, okay, so this guy is pretty amazing. His name's Jayson Wilson, and I met him at the VFW. He's one of those people that really just stands out. So wherever he is, he stands out, and he's actually super humble because I thought he was fantastic before I even really got to know like all the stuff that we're going to delve into today. So he's really humble. Like,
that's awesome.
I can't believe all this stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, good to see you, Stace. I'm glad you decided to stick with us for at least one more week, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
You can't get rid of me that easy.
So with that being said, let's get Jayson in here. And Jayson, how are you, sir? Good afternoon.
Hey, I'm really good, my friend. Excuse me, I'm in my vehicle. Hurt my back last week, so I'm outside. My doc's holding off so I could do the podcast with you guys. And
well, tell him thank you.
I got to go back in after we're through.
Yeah, please extend our gratitude while you do that. And I hope you're not in too much discomfort sitting there.
No, actually, I feel pretty good right here. You know, if I had a beer, it might be better. You know, but I'm good.
I get it. So, Jayson, not sure if you've seen any of our other episodes, but what we like to do is do a little bit of background on the veterans and sometimes veteran first responders that we interview. So we'd love to hear a little bit about where you're originally from, brief summary of what you did in the military, and then our brand new interrogator in the podcast, Stacy. She's got a bunch of questions for you. So,
okay.
But looking forward to all of this, and thank you very much for honoring us with your presence, and thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, back at you for your service as well, and what you guys are doing for veterans and for folks that are in the military. It means a lot knowing folks like Stacy and you are out there, furthering our cause. In a lot of different ways. I've got a huge amount of respect for Stacy and how much time she commits out of her life to taking care of folks. And so it's pretty cool that, there are people like you guys out there promoting all this. I was, my dad was a crop duster. He was a World War II veteran pilot, crop duster. He and his partner owned a business. They had a flight school. They had a crop dusting company. They had charter. They had cargo. They had aviation maintenance. And my mom was a nurse, emergency room nurse, always normally in charge. Kind of I think I get a lot of my oomph from my mom. They're both passed. But my uncle was a B-25 pilot. My dad was on C-47s. I grew up flying. When I was 4, my parents divorced, and I moved to Bar Harbor, Maine with my mother and lived there till I was about 11 and went home for Christmas one year. My dad took me flying, and overnight I wanted to live with my dad, and I moved there. Back to Lake Norman, North Carolina. And I was there until right before I graduated, a couple of years before I graduated high school, went back to Maine, finished high school, and then went in the military at the ripe old age of 17. So went to Fort Bragg and spent 18 years at Fort Bragg. Went in as a aircraft hydraulics repair and combat medic. Back then you could have like 2 MOSs, and I kind of lucked up and got to do both jobs, and from that went to flight school and flew Apaches for about 18-20 years, and then I retired, went on and flew air shows professionally for about 4 years, and that ended prematurely kind of, sort of, and didn't know what I was going to do. And I went to Blackwater, where I basically started out as a 214 ST captain, flying on the WIPS mission over there, the high threat VOS mission. And then I transitioned into an ops officer position. Plus, I flew it simultaneously, and just fell in love with that job, and the folks I worked with loved it. Out of that, I did really well, and I got recruited to get into leadership and management. And I went to Evergreen, and it's just a lot more corporate stuff after that. Ended up back at AAR, that bought Blackwater Aviation, and it was really nice to be united back with a bunch of friends. And so my boss at Blackwater worked for me when I got to AAR, so it was kind of funny. I'm still a big member of our alumni association for Blackwater, and the 82nd Airborne and 82nd Aviation Brigade. Nothing big. I've worked real hard, and I've always liked solving problems, and it's kind of worked out for me. So,
wow, that's quite a bit. Quite a bit. How many? If you don't mind my asking, and then we'll segue into this. How many tours did you do with Blackwater overseas?
Army wise, I did 2 tours in Iraq. Basically, I did Kosovo, 2 tours, and Bosnia, kind of a hybrid deal with Bosnia, because I was the 5th Corps standardization officer. So I went down there and flew all the time, but I would fly with different units that were there. We had a rash of accidents in 1999, and I got elevated into a position where I went down there every other month and flew with whoever was there. So I love that. And then 2 tours in Afghanistan, kind of back to back in the Army. And then Blackwater, I was with Blackwater about 18 months, and then went to Evergreen, where I ended up being the COO at Evergreen. And then I went to AAR, where I was back with Blackwater guys, and went over there quite a bit during that time frame, where when I was at Blackwater, I was in Baghdad with the WIPS mission. But when we were for AAR, we were in Afghanistan, we were in Iraq, we were in Africa. Much like Evergreen, we were everywhere. So
yeah, I got you. So when did you finally decide to head? What I guess the question I'm asking is, what got you to reside in Naperville? How'd you end up in Naperville? Because that's where this story begins, where you and Staci met up and started talking and stuff. So, because it's great to have you on here, and I'm interested in all of this.
So Naperville, when I used to be an airshow pilot, I was I was the leader of the Red Baron Stearman Squadron.
Nice.
And I was left wing, but I was the director of ops. So I ran the squadron. Almost 3 of my 4 or 5 years there. The other 2, I was the flight ops manager the first year, and then chief pilot. I knew friends from Naperville, part of a air show group, a formation group called Lima Lima. And I knew they were in Naperville. And when we would do the Chicago Air and Water Show, we would stay in St. Charles a lot. And
right up the road.
And we'd fly out of DuPage Airport quite a bit. We'd do rides, VIP rides. And when we did the show, we were always in Gary, but we stayed at McCormick Place. But I accepted a position here as president of Rev Aviation. We're an aviation company that has charter aircraft, aeromedical aircraft. We have fixed base operations. We have aviation maintenance. We have a flight academy. It's a rather large company, and I'm the president. So I ended up in Naperville because of that position.
Gotcha. That's great.
And I was out rucksack marching one morning, doing my deal, and late morning, and I saw the VFW because I live right across the river from it. I was like, what is that thing doing in the middle of all these $1 million homes? And never been in
Right.
one. I played American Legion baseball, but I'd never been in a VFW, and walked in and met Carrie, who runs she manages the bar.
Yeah.
And
She's great.
I said,
Great.
what do
Stephen's
you
best
got
friend.
to do? What do you got to do
Yeah.
to join? She goes, fill out this paperwork. And I did.
Yeah.
And that's it. So,
Yeah. Carrie's just a beautiful human. She is
yeah.
totally a beautiful human. Yeah. That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
And
That's
how long
awesome.
ago was that you joined?
What that was, I would say that had to be around this time last year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's been fairly.
Yeah, because Staci didn't really. I didn't see. I did until I got. I probably started getting to know people in November, December, and I met Staci right after the first of the year, I guess. But I met a lot of folks in there that I've become great friends with, and it's my favorite place in town. So
Yeah.
And I love that you come in there so much.
I know it. I know it. I should have stock in the place.
Well, I love that he'll like be hanging out at Hugo's, and then like
Yeah.
meet some friends, and then like, hey, I got this really great place to go, and they come to the VFW.
Yeah, I'll take him out somewhere, and I take him back to the VFW to have pizza. So it's pretty cool.
But see,
Absolutely.
that's what I envision with our VFW is to create this like more robust place that people get excited about going to, and
and it's
you're
for
part of that energy.
Absolutely, and for non-veterans, it's awesome for people because they come in, they see all the memorabilia, and they see how everybody gets along, and everybody's respectful, and it's kind of a subculture within itself, So.
It is. And it's like whenever we were doing, we do karaoke, whenever Joel was there doing karaoke, you don't find when you go do karaoke at bars that you just start going, hey, you over there at the table, come up and sing this like, George Strait song with me. And so I love that we're just like all together and like it's just it's awesome. And you're right, because it gets the community that aren't veterans, it gets them to give them this like front row seat to like what we're all about as a different layer of our personalities. It humanizes who we are, and I think it's one of the reasons why our community in Naperville is so supportive of the veteran community. I think it's because we open up and we allow these kinds of like interactions and stuff.
Well, I agree. I think you're a huge part of that, and guys like Gary that when he was telling me when you guys Veterans Day and Memorial Day, all the hard work that goes into everything that all the volunteers and officers do, I think it's super incredible. So I've got a lot of respect for it, put it that way, and I've met a lot of really neat people there. So
we have a lot of stuff coming up, obviously Monday, November 11th with Veterans Day. We have ceremonies starting at 10:30 at Veterans Park, and we have a Veterans Day dinner that is awesome. It's like a big collaboration of the Legion and the Post and Auxiliary. Are you able to come to any of that? Are you going to be in town?
Yeah, I'm going to be here. I mean, this month I'm traveling. We're starting our Department of Defense audit for our airline. So I'm going down to St. Louis to Scott Air Force Base next week. But outside of that, I'm not traveling a lot in the next month and a half. We've got a lot of things we're doing with the company that don't require me to really go a lot of places. So we're basically modifying the company in a lot of different ways. So it's a lot of work with the staff and tweaking things. So I'm around for a while.
So what is I don't know if you said this and I missed it, but what does the Rev Aviation do? What is the
Well, it's owned by two great people, Inga Karras and Peter Limburger. They're a couple. They're married, very successful. Inga is she's part of the Karras family. Karras is one of the oldest water treatment companies in the United States. It's family and privately owned. They have recently gotten a partner. They also own Alexander Chemical. They own Rev. They have a specialty wood company that does cabinetry, doors, high-end, really high-end woodwork. And then they have they basically CL Red, which is their development construction company. And then they have a hospitality company that has basically hotels and restaurants. But Rev is their aviation entity. They're both aviation lovers. They grew up around aviation. And if you start at the bottom, we have the fixed base operations where corporate aircraft, charter aircraft, private aircraft get fuel. We have 3 maintenance. We have about 9 of those facilities. We have 3 maintenance facilities where if you owned your own aircraft, turboprop or jet or reciprocating aircraft, you could bring it to us and we can work on it. We have 3 avionics facilities, 2, one that's large, one that's moderate, one that's small. We have that capability for avionics, so all your electrical and your communications navigation gear for aircraft. Then we have a flight academy that's rather large. This year they'll fly about 28,000 hours, and that flight academy basically trains the pilots of tomorrow, civilian pilots of tomorrow, for the University of Nebraska Omaha. And we recently have associated ourselves with Code College in Cedar Rapids. And so we have about 9 flight schools on top of the Aviation Academy. So it's a really diverse company with a lot of tentacles. I grew up in something like that, not as big, but when I saw what it was, it intrigued me. And the owners are truly, our CEO at our parent company, Hinesh Patel, and Peter and Inga are a huge reason I'm here, because they're just amazing people, and they're awesome people to work for, and they're patriotic. They support basically anything and everything that has to do with anything veteran oriented or patriotic that I put in front of them. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
You guys sponsored our golf outing. That was really cool. I appreciate that.
We have a lot of veterans. My director of ops is a former 160th Aviation Regiment standardization officer. Spent 25 years in the 160th. He and I were in Blackwater and AAR together, and Grand Canyon company I was at before here, Scenic Airlines, Grand Canyon, Papillon. We have a lot of military guys.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jayson.
Okay.
160th, Stacy, 160th is a special operations air command that is a part of the United States Army, but they do a ton of joint operations.
Okay.
Yeah, they are the lift, basically the universal lift capability for SOCOM.
Correct. Special operations. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And they are the best of what they do.
Yeah, they are the best.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing that you did when you were 18 years, right? You were in 18?
I was in 25 years.
25, and you retired.
That bio, I don't know why they screwed that bio up like they did, but I was in basically 24 and a half, 25. I loved being an Apache pilot. I did. I loved deploying. And I looked back, and I thought, hey, this is what you do. But I never realized, I had 3 daughters, and there's I thought I was doing all the right things, and I still do, for the right reasons, but I missed a lot of them growing up between Bosnia, Kosovo, and Afghanistan. And if you look at those years, 94 to I got out in 2004. So the last 10 years I was in the military, I was deployed quite a bit. But I was fortunate because I was the first 1-1 aviator to fly in Kosovo, Macedonia, Albania. I was the first 229th aviator to fly in Afghanistan because I went early and flew with the 101st. So as a standardization officer, so I love that mission. I was going to, if had I not retired, I was going to go to the ones.
Here we go.
Can you hear me? Yep.
You got us?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Here we go.
That's okay. That's all right.
I was while you were taking your little hiatus there, we were talking. Okay, so you fly helicopters, planes. What can you fly? Tell me.
I've been flying since I was a kid, so I fly airplanes and helicopters. I focused on attack aircraft in the military. That's all I flew was the Apache. I mean, I went to flight school, and in flight school we learned in the Huey, and then I transitioned after instruments into the Cobra, and I graduated 89 23 T4, which was the Cobra track. And depending on how you graduated was what advanced aircraft you got. And I wanted to be number one because I would get Apaches and I would get the 82nd Airborne. So I did. I won that. I accomplished that, started flying that, flew that my entire career, then got out and did air shows. And I flew, awesome. We were 4 1940s biplanes that were like NASCARs, and we did a formation show like the Blue Angels, except we were biplanes, and we did everything at the speed of smell instead of sound.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
And then from there went back into helicopters with Blackwater, and then Evergreen. I flew a lot of our museum aircraft that we had. But if I can start it, I can fly it, is what I've always said,
That's got to be awesome, being able to fly those, you talk about museum pieces, those antiques. I mean, there's a lot of history, huge amount of history involved with all that. And just to be in something like that is, oh my Lord, that's awesome. That is awesome.
We've got, here at the company, we have a 1929 Travel Air. It's the only one of its kind left in the world. And so if you guys ever want to go up in a special airplane, let me know and we'll get you up in that.
When I get back to Naperville, I'm definitely taking you up on that, Jayson. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That'd
be amazing.
And Rev is, where is it located? What
Rev, our corporate headquarters is Aurora Municipal Airport, which is Sugar Grove, basically.
That Lima group, are you just friends with them or did you work with them?
I used to know several of the guys. A lot of those guys, when I was flying Red Baron, I was probably 42 to 45, 41 to 45 or something like that. And those guys were much older than me then. So I haven't seen any of them lately,
Okay. So because
I've seen a couple of their airplanes though.
Pablo and Jim from the VFW, so they're part of that. They do the flyovers for the Jetathon.
Yeah,
Stephen, the Lima flyovers for the Jetathon. They did. They had three that flew over.
That's awesome.
If you tell him, hey, one of our members is a Red Baron, he'll know who we were and everything.
Okay, next time I see Pablo and Jim. Jim's on the color guard with me, actually, suffragan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that's awesome.
No, I think my favorite thing was flying the Apache and being in at Fort Bragg. I loved it. We were always deploying. You had people that came back there because for the longest time, if you were there, you basically were a paratrooper and a pilot. So it was kind of neat because you were around the same guys for a long time and gals. And just a different kind of atmosphere. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a question. So I helped, this is kind of a lead into my question, if you will, Jayson, and humor me for just a moment. I helped, I own a coffee company, and I was approached by um, a Gold Star widow out of Arizona. Her husband was KIA in Kenya, and he was a contractor but flying ISR for operations over there. Okay. Um, Point being though is that the because he was an aviator, the entire like the group down there in Arizona, they're all around her. They're supportive family. They take care of the daughter. They for like her birthday stuff like that. Do you guys reach out to um, the different tiered star families of veterans with Rev to do anything of that nature? I'm just inquiring.
We would be happy to support something like that. If there's a path to do that financially and logistically. I'm real aware that in the Blackwater and our organization, basically the alumni association is built all around the 43 people we lost.
Yes,
It's all about supporting uh, their families and children, wives, husbands, etc., and then children. And every year when we have our reunion, the fundraiser is to support that part of it. That's the major focus. So I'm super aware that we've supported both the VFW and the American Legion this year, and we've also supported the Naperville Police Department, and I
nice,
think the Aurora Police Department as well, with
nice.
some of the endeavors they've done. So we're always up to support something. If you have a formal path that you need help on, just let us know.
Well, we could talk about that offline, but and
Sure.
let me share this with
And let
you.
me ask you a question. Was your
Yeah.
friend's husband killed in that rocket attack there in Kenya? He was a CASA pilot for flew for my matter of fact, our
I,
director of ops, Steele Parsons, was friends with that gentleman, and Steele was part of that team there when that happened.
yeah,
I
5
can't
years ago.
remember if Steele was in country or home when it happened,
Right.
but I do remember that. So yeah, I'm familiar with that incident.
Yes, I'm sure you would be. Uh, I just is inquiring if that's something that you guys are undertaking. I mean, based on your very impressive bio and all the things that you've done over the years, I just thought I'd ask about it because I do things with the coffee company. I support families, stuff of that nature, whatever. The I've worked with or have had the option and the honor to work with a lot of Blackwater guys. Not while I was overseas during the early days of Iraq. I was still on active duty at the time, but ever since then, because of the contracting world, I've had an opportunity to work with a lot of them. Great guys, a lot of them still some of my best friends. It's just quite an impact left by all of you guys for what you did
Yeah.
and continue to do in other venues. So
Well, we had a great leader in that organization. Eric Prince is amazing guy, amazing man, someone I respect immensely. I look forward to seeing him every year when we get to see him, and I'm fortunate enough every occasionally to his one of his best friends was another SEAL, was an attorney, went to SEAL school, and it's where Eric met him. He used to be basically our chief of staff for the company, Bill Matthews. Bill's
yep,
been in the Appalachian Mountains up in North Carolina helping out flood victims. They've been up there doing a lot of stuff. Um, that whole group is amazing. And organizations get bad names for 1% of the people attached to them.
Agreed.
And the folks from Raven 23 that were wrongly accused of fratricide and collateral damage, basically worse than that. They were exonerated by President Trump. And
Yep.
Paul Sloth is a great friend of mine. I have a huge amount of respect for those guys and what they went through. And I will tell you this, that I think BW was really good to them and their families, from my perspective, throughout all that. And
Good. That's
so
great.
I'm proud to be part of the Army, which I loved and would take a bullet for now. And I'm proud to be part of the BW clan as well. And I love where I'm at right now. When they
That's
said you're
great.
going to Chicago, I thought, Chicago, oh no. And I got up here and I actually love it.
Yay.
I never thought I would like the suburbs as much as I do. I love it. So
Little oasis from downtown.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Do you have you ever gone into the schools during Veterans Day to speak to the kids in the high school or anything?
No, I haven't done any of that.
Have you ever wanted to?
I used to love doing that, and you'll find out I did this when I talked to Staci about this. It was I thought it was cool because it's for veterans and it's about veterans, and it's about the people that put themselves in front of everything. Put others in front of themselves. And I was intrigued by this because a buddy of mine who's a retired SEAL does one. But no, I'm normally the guy. When I was an air show guy, I met one of the Apollo 8 astronauts, and I met him because I didn't like doing all the media stuff. I was the boss, so I was like, I'm the last to eat. I'm the last to do whatever I want to do, and I'm gonna fill up the aircraft and get them ready to fly back. We were on Orcas Island off the coast of Washington State, and we had 4 high-end salesmen for Red Baron Pizza, and we took them up there for lunch. Flew the San Joaquin Islands all the way up from Gig Harbor, Washington, and I'm out there on the airplane filling it up with gas, and this older guy rides up on his bicycle, and I jump down and we start chatting, and I notice he's got this Apollo 8 belt buckle on. I'm like, who would wear that other than an Apollo 8 guy,
Right.
And he goes, you don't recognize me, do you? And I go, sir, I know who you are, but I can't say your name right now. And he started laughing. And he goes, well, I'm glad you're not going to BS me. But it was Bill Anders, who we just lost a couple of months ago in a tragic accident out there in his aircraft. But his son and I became really good friends, and his son happened to be flying in the air show with us that coming weekend at McCord Air Force Base. And so I became great friends, with an astronaut and his son. And it blew me away that, that you could meet somebody like that you only read about for years and years and years. Right. But I did it by not going and being in the middle of all the hype that was going on. So I'm not one of those media guys. And even in the air show industry, if someone who wanted to be on TV, it wasn't me. I always wanted other people. So going to schools, I'd love to go to schools, but I've got younger, better looking guys that could do more, have bigger impact. How about that?
So if you didn't want to go in there, what I'm trying to get at is there anything that you feel is important to tell this next generation, this next generation that we are seeing in our community as loving and supportive of veterans and very patriotic. And we've got our veterans clubs at the high schools. And I know that we're all very appreciative of that. And they're so involved with everything that we're doing. What would you say to them if you did have the opportunity and felt comfortable to talk to them? What kind of a message would you give them?
It's kind of funny you asked me that. So our son Cole is a sniper in the United States Army. He just got back from Germany, where they were over training Ukrainian snipers and U.S. snipers. And when he and I talk about the military, he's in a much different military than I was, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
And so for the longest time, I didn't understand it, you know? But then I basically acquiesced to the point where, you know, he's the new subject matter expert on it. And I think, you know, a lot of his comments and a lot of my friends in Special Operations Command that are still in the military, they're seeing a degradation in a lot of things because of the transformation of the military into what a lot of people in the country want it to be a normal operating system, and it can't be, you know.
No,
and
can't be. Absolutely not.
and I think that's one of the biggest issues that I've had, because I loved it. I loved every day I was in. Of course, when you get out, you forget all the. I waited 10 hours to go on a jump that day, or I waited 8 hours because we were just, that's what the Army does, hurry up and wait. But
Right.
I do think that having someone who's actively in the Army would be great to go with somebody like you, Stacy, because they understand what these kids, how these kids think for the most part, and they understand what the Army's like now. And like Cole, I wanted Cole to stay in and go on into flight school, but he's getting out and getting all his ratings, and he's going to come fly for me. But he's going to stay in the Guard, so he's still going to, you know, still going to be part of service. But
That's great.
I think I think I think that's an issue that, you know, hopefully down the road with the election, if some things shift, we'll see the military going back to being full military. I still feel the military will rise to any occasion that's thrown in front of them, and that's what's happened, you know, since Task Force Smith, as you remember that from Korea. We went down this road to where we try to normalize things, and you just can't, you know. So I would go in and tell them, you can do anything you want and then some, if you go in the military. Meaning, if you don't have the money to go to college, this will be your path to college. If you don't know how you're going to go to med school, this is your path to med school. A good friend of mine went to med school as a Green Beret E718 Delta, and he retired as the first group surgeon, and now he's a super successful. Awesome. Yeah, he's super successful awesome. Emergency room surgeon now, and I respect him immensely. I think the military can give you more opportunities than anything else, unless you just, you know, your socioeconomic situation's one that it pays for all that itself. If you're the average American, I think what I would tell a kid is it will open your eyes up, because it certainly has for our son. He is a much different person than when he went in. I mean, he opens doors for his mom. He's patient. He walks in a bar. He's not talking. He's looking. I mean, it's changed him completely, and it's turned him into a young man. And I just think there's so many benefits. I'm like you, Stacy. I'm too pro military, so it's very difficult to say anything negative. I do think we have lost a lot of great people in the last 4 years because of some of the social change, but I think that'll go away. So
real quick, I just want to say this, Jayson, you and I definitely need to talk, because in 10 and 11, I was in Afghanistan with 3rd Battalion, 1st SF Group, so I know a lot of those guys. Love to pick your brain next time I'm up there in Naperville. There's so much of the same dirt has been chewed, and I think it's fantastic. So kudos to my co-host for suggesting bringing you on this show, because this has been a pleasure. Not that we're getting done anytime soon, but I just want to say it's awesome. It's awesome because I'm in a government contract right now here at Fort Gregg Adams in Virginia. I'm dealing with the lasting effects of the change, as you mentioned, that is happening in Big Army now, as we try to do the right thing for the EOD community moving forward. And I'm not ecstatic about it, if you get my drift. This is not, it's not the Army, it's not the military that I used to belong to. We've come a far cry from when I got off active duty in 07 after 2 combat deployments and started doing government contracting, to be there to share my knowledge, because I survived, with the next kids, the next generations after me as they move forward. Far cry from that. And God bless anybody that stands up for them, for something bigger than themselves. That includes every single member of the military service right now, regardless of what branch. It's just a different climate. It's a massively different climate.
Yeah, I would say it's got to be the closest thing to the end of the '60s, going in the '70s, and the Volar that you could have, you know.
Oh my God, yes, I love it. I love it. Sorry, Stacy. We had to have a bro moment there.
No, it's good. You guys have a lot of things that you connect on. You know, my stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry
that
I'm
I
not
bring to the table are more emotional.
I feel like I'm in a GP medium with one light bulb because you guys can barely see me.
I know.
Hey, so I don't know if you like Metallica, but they had that one. They had that Garage, that one album they came out with the Garage, and I saw them in concert, and they did several songs where they just dropped one light bulb over the stage, and they played in just that light. Everything else was shut down. I appreciated it. It's authentic. I get it.
I love Metallica. Love them.
Oh yeah, love them. Absolutely. Sorry, Stacy.
Did you guys know that on the Boston album, that spaceship is really an upside down guitar?
Yes,
I did. I remember seeing it.
Yeah. I will help you and give you. I'll be searching over the weekend to give you music trivia for proponency, so that way you can start asking things that I have no idea about. I'll help you out with that, Stacey.
Okay.
This is
Jayson. If you wanted to spearhead some kind of project or initiative over at the VFW, what would that be?
Yeah,
like a passion project, something that I could help you with.
I think it would be. A really defined recruiting and fundraising. So it'd be two things: one, raise funds, number one, and then number two would be to recruit. I would like to be part of a big recruiting thing that when we find out that young veterans, first tour, second tour, get out, that they know what it is. They don't go 25 years like I did and not have a clue what kind of camaraderie exists right around the corner. Because a lot of people think it's essentially, and I'm black here.
Darn. You're good.
Just go down completely.
Maybe it'll open. Yeah, it went down all the way.
And you don't even have a light in your car when you open the door.
Maybe now we'll get it back up. Okay.
There we go.
We're Army dudes. We can make this work. Anyway,
that's right.
I think that that's what it would be. It would be. I think they're the ones that that they haven't had the experience of staying in and all the hardships and perseverance and everything you have to go through. And yourself, big guy. Your first deployment's one thing. Your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. As you get older, you become a real war fighter, and you're balanced, and you know yourself. You know what you can do. Don't be a a DICK,
exactly.
and have an exit strategy in every situation you get in, so you can go back and fight the next day. And they don't have that. I feel for these kids.
They haven't learned it. They haven't learned it
No,
yet.
they didn't have a
Yeah.
chance, you know, and
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
they're in a vehicle that gets blown up, and they're 19, 20 years old, 17, 18, and their best friend's gone, and we have no. So the fundraising would be to help them with issues that are emotional or confidence based, and the other side is for them to have a outlet of people that they can talk to. Like I've given a lot of people jobs over the years to help them, and
Yeah.
I just did recently offer a couple of folks their positions because they meet the skill set that we need. But you know, if they were in some resume pool, they never get hired, probably. You know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but you realize when you're part of that world that you can talk to one of them and you can see if they're the top 10%, top 20, top 30, top
Right.
50. You can tell very quickly. And I really worry about these kids that have no one to talk to, and they just shut down. And you know, they get
That's why
out.
our numbers are so up so high.
Yep. And it's so
Yep.
easy for them to now. You can legally go get weeds, so they quit. They
Yeah.
quit moving. They quit being dynamic, and they, you know, those are the guys and gals that I worry about. And
Yeah.
you don't see them. You don't see a lot of 20 to 35, 40-year-old people in the VFW.
And I'm trying. That's
Yeah.
been my mission for the past 3 years, as Stephen can tell you, to create experiences is that demographic wants to be a part of. And that's why I asked you that question, because you seem like you're a wealth of knowledge in a variety of areas.
I mean, if you're getting out of the military and you're going through your exodus, and you meet with the VA people, you meet with all these people, you're going to meet with somebody who's retired, and they're not going to be vibrant like you or me or you. They're going to be some older person. Hey, but they don't even do that. So these kids come back home and they have no idea what's what, you know,
what's next, what's next.
Yeah.
They need
The
somebody
exiting
to be
strategy.
like, hey, you can do this. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, please continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
Well, I feel like a lot of times they come back. Well, that, you know, one of the things I was looking at with your bio, if I may be so bold, is as you were transitioning through your different places that you worked, I could tell by reading through this, and I'm very much like this. It was like, something's not right here. Something needs to be done better. I need to be more in charge of making things the way that I feel that they need to be. And I think that that's a very common characteristic that I find in a lot of my military brothers and sisters, is that we have this benchmark, I guess, of a standard that a lot of civilian companies don't hold themselves to.
Sure.
And we are always trying to get everything to be at a little bit higher place, a higher place. I need to, and then a lot of us become entrepreneurs. A lot of us are like myself. I said, this is ridiculous. I'm going to just do this myself. I'm going to open my own businesses. Yeah. And I feel that so many of us are like that. But then you've got these young ones that you're talking about, right? They come home, they've got PTSD. There's not a lot of people to talk to. The older guys want to help, but it's not relatable. The stories are not relatable. And I would love to be able to create events that we have people that we can say, look, here's how you're going to build your own business. There are organizations, Lynn's organization that I invited you to go with me to on the 21st, that I really think is important. I think that could be like a segue into something that you're talking about, an event that we can create where we can, hey guys, come here. Let's talk about what you're going to do next. Put the weed down. Let's talk about, do you want to open your own business? Let's figure out how to do that. Let's figure out how we can do that, because I've done it on a shoestring budget. You know, I know how to do that. I've taught myself how to do everything because I didn't have the money, and I just taught myself. So I would love to be able to work with you on something like that, where we can get these guys, you know, back into productive members of society, where they're vibrant and thriving and feel like they've got purpose.
Yeah. I think it's, you know, it's kind of crazy the way they do it. They they ask these kids to go do things that a lot of people wouldn't even think about doing on their best day in their lives.
Yeah.
And they go through all this, and their decompression is zero.
Well,
Zero.
you're okay. So you're absolutely right. There's no decompression, but yet, and then on top of that, when they do try to decompress or try to figure that out on their own, there's no support system.
Exactly. And
No support system.
our decompression system was, okay, I'm going to go back and do it for Blackwater. I'm going to go back and do it. And that's my whole thing. You have people that are, I don't know. It's like if you go back into into time, and you look at all the wars and all of the people that have fought them and all of the things, and you have people that were just zoned out. That's what they were meant in life to do. And then you have people that throughout those things have had all kinds of different things happen to them at such an early age without any, one thing we're good at doing, I think all three of us are, is compartmentalizing because of our generation, number one, and then the things we've been through.
Sure.
What I see with these kids, their coping skills, because of their generation, how they were raised. And when they work for you, you can see it. Coping skills are like Kleiner.
I get it.
Kleiner, And
right.
I just think there'd be a great place to have those guys come in there once a month, twice a month. And you got guys like me, you, Stacy, coming in. Hey, we're here to help you guys get jobs. We're here to help you do things that the VA should be doing.
We're here just to talk.
Exactly.
We're here to hear. We're here to listen. You don't have any. Where's your network, or who is your network? Just come join us. Come open up. Talk to us. We are the same people you are. You don't have to worry about it. I mean, I'm not trying to create a kumbaya moment, but you get my drift. You get my drift with it, though. You get my drift.
You're creating a moment where, hey, here's opportunity. Come seize it.
And it's not in a sterile environment. Josh said that last week about how there's stuff like that's at the VA available, but people aren't wanting to go sit in an office or a sterile environment with their hands in their lap. It's like creating a situation.
It's too clinical.
That's less clinical.
It's too clinical.
Well,
I'll
give you guys an example. I went to the Miami VA hospital when I worked for AAR. I was a VP of ops, and I had insurance. I had TRICARE, and I had a supplemental insurance as well.
Yeah.
And I made great money, but I went down there because I was like, I'd been at Duke when I was at Blackwater, and I'd had these headaches, these cluster migraines, and I had received amazing care at Duke and the Durham VA. So I go, I'll go try this out. Well, I go down there, and here I am, a successful guy, and they tell me I don't qualify. And I go, so what do you mean I don't qualify? I've 25 years of service, all these combat deployments, blah, 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 but I don't qualify. Well, here's the irony of it. 2 weeks later, I get my VA ID card from the Duke VA, okay, where I qualified and I was a member. So it's stuff like that, and I don't want to get political, but we had a president that said we need to rebuild that whole system. And I think you do, because all it does is it leads to mental illness. And then you've got a mess with these kids that they don't have that. So if you had to ask me, that's what I'd want to do. I'd want to embrace young folks getting out of the military, especially ones that have had to go and do things that we know they had to go do that weren't so much fun.
I got two things for you, sir. One, Stacy and I are going to do a panel in the near future about mental health, and I want to get a whole bunch of different perspectives. And we're really looking forward to this. I've got some collaborative stuff that I'm working on. She's doing me a justice by shaking her head. Yes, we're going to do this, although I haven't mentioned to her just yet. So I'm trying to make sure that I do all my homework before I present it to her. So I'd love to have you on for that. Second thing is, I'd love to, as we wrap this up, get a massive or very strong quote that you live by that you would like to share with the audience today.
Oh, wow. I'll give you one I use every day at work.
All right.
If nobody gets hurt or killed, we can fix it.
That's a good one. I like it.
So, you know, we really don't need all the drama. We just need the facts. But I think, you know, I think one of my other ones is your integrity is what you have. You know, that's all you got. And I believe in that. And it was funny, digressing a bit for you. You said, what's one of those things? And what I would tell people is that's what I see out here in business. You know, a great buddy of mine said, hey, you know, in the military, when we departed and went to another command or whatever, XYZ to XYY, you know, there was a hail and farewell. There was a going away. When people ended their service and retired, there was this. But out here, it's a 2-week honor system. That's all it is, you know. So.
All right, I don't know where Stephen just went.
There he is.
Sorry. Big gorilla pause.
Around.
Yeah, big gorilla pause. Small keys. I apologize for interrupting, Jayson. But let's do this, sir. We reserve the right, and I want you to feel that you have the right to come back on here again because this has been fantastic. Yes. I definitely want to have you back on the show if you don't mind. We do have to say goodnight. We truly, from the KGRA family and Staci and myself, we thank you and honor. We are honored to have you here. Thank you very much for the interview. And you got to send it to me again. You want me to throw it out there? I lost the feed. I screwed it up. It was my fault.
You got to scroll up. Just scroll up the feed.
No, I can't. You're no good, feed. Brother. I mean, my biggest thing.
There's no feed. There's no feed.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. I'm talking to Staci. I apologize.
No. So, I would say my biggest thing I say all the time is, you know, if no one gets hurt or killed, we can fix it. So that's
absolutely. No, I get that. Absolutely. Staci, do you want to send us out real quick, and I'll make sure I know my part by next week. I promise.
Here.
Go ahead. Take it all.
I just sent it to you.
Oh, sorry. All right, so thank you all for joining us on TripWire tonight or this afternoon. It's been a fantastic time. We appreciate your attendance. Look forward to seeing you same time, same channel next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Remember that the path of freedom is paved with courage.
And honor is the wire we never trip. See you next week.
See you guys.